Welcome to the first ever intro to the intro. I know we don't like to edit on the show. We talk about that all the time. And what we ended up with was a little bit more of a deletion than an edit. This episode is going to be brought to you by Takem Gear. That's TAKEM gear.com. We have the owner of Takem Gear. That's a family owned business, handmade products, and it's primarily for duck hunting. And if you're like me, you don't know a ton about duck hunting. So this is really an intro conversation. Learn a little bit, learn a lot. Depends on how much you already know about duck hunting. Unfortunately, we had the president of the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association on as well. Bruce had some video and audio problems. There might be a little hiccup here or there in the video. And as it turns out, it actually worked out for the better because we had a pretty long conversation with Brian from Takem Gear, and we ended up deciding it makes sense just to do a separate Wisconsin Waterfowl, hard to say, Association episode anyway. So we'll get Bruce back for more insight, kind of more of a historical view, duck hunting and youth programs and learn to hunt programs. A lot of good stuff happening. Welcome to the intro now. Welcome back to the Audible Angle. We did 2 episodes in a row of just me and Irby, and the numbers were so bad, we decided to double up and go with 2 guests on this episode. We previewed a little bit. We'll do introductions in a bit here. I'm Dilly in the hat, Irby in the glasses. There's 2 guys in glasses, 2 guys in hats. I'm the fat guy in the hat. Brian is the... Okay, we'll say it. Fit, thin, a lot of adjectives for not fat looking guy in the hat. And then we got a guy that looks like Irby's brother, also in glasses, Big Bad Bruce. I don't know which camera angle, usually it kind of mixes up. Right now, me and Herbs are on the bottom, but I'm sure you guys will figure it out if you're watching. Without further ado, we previewed it a little bit. We got a little duck hunting episode for you. We have Brian Urbanski, better known as Brian Urban. 20 years in the duck hunting game. 9 years of duck farming. I don't even know what that is. We're going to get to the bottom of whatever that is because it sounds like he's got some ducks running around his yard and they collect the eggs and maybe eat them once in a while. 3 years owning, operating, running, manufacturing Takem Gear, which is related to duck hunting. And you can kind of, when you see that, you kind of know what it is. We're also welcoming the reigning, defending board president of the WWA. It's not the WWF. It's the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association. About 164 years of duck hunting experience. 20 years decoy carving. He won some awards carving decoys. Some listeners might not even know what that is. But before I start talking for too long here, let's get to the guests. Brian, I kind of know this answer for you, so I'm going to start with Bruce. I was a bit of a deer hunter. A lot of people in Wisconsin are deer hunters. How did you end up duck hunting? And was that a childhood thing, or when did you enter the profession of duck hunting? Well, and Bruce got ejected from the connection. It's one of those rules of the show. If you talk that long and cut Jim off from talking, he just boots you out. Maybe just shoot him a text to just hop back in. The reason why I didn't start off with you on that question, Brian, I assume that you probably went duck hunting with your dad and that started it. But what kind of made it a passion for you, other than your dad was mentioning, you get to hang out and you can even eat and you can chat a little bit because ducks aren't deer. What spawned the passion?
I think um the availability to do it. You know what I mean? Like ducks are there's a lot of public land to hunt ducks and not so much for hunting deer. And if there is public land to hunt deer, it's like super populated, big rush. So I think that's what really sparked my interest in duck hunting. Besides the fact of um you can kill 6 ducks today, tomorrow you can kill 6 ducks again, and your bag limit is every day. You go deer hunting, you can harvest one animal for the season. So I mean, I think that was part of it. I, and I don't like to sit still. This might be difficult for an hour here, but we're gonna try.
I was gonna start off, and this is how much of a non duck hunter savant I am. What is the actual duck season? Is it fall and winter? Or how long does it last? Like I know most people, deer hunting's at least in the Midwest seems like the most familiar thing. And whether it's Minnesota or Wisconsin, you kind of have like 2 weeks. I know now they have like a youth hunt and some other stuff, but it's like a couple weeks. What does the duck hunting season look like?
It's a 60-day season. So the feds set it at a 60-day season for every state. Now, your 60-day season might start September 27th and run 60 days straight, or there might be a split, or split in the season, which means you have to not hunt for 5 days. But primarily it's 60 days. So in Wisconsin, um, our season, we do get a 9 day, 7 day, 9 day teal season, which you can hunt teal only. So that's in there. And then the 60-day season starts, but it starts north. I live in the north zone. I also own property in the south zone. So my season definitely gets a little bit longer because I'm able to hunt the north zone, which is a week earlier than the south zone. So really my 60 days get stretched, but it's a 60-day season.
And Irby, jump in when you have questions, but I'm gonna kind of keep rolling as they come off my head here. And this maybe there isn't even an exact answer for this, but how many different again, as a layperson in duck hunting, you kind of think like mallards, maybe you think of wood ducks a little bit. And you mentioned, was it teal? Teal
Yep.
ducks? Or how many different types of ducks are there just in Wisconsin? When you're typically duck hunting, uh, how many different types are there?
I'm gonna leave this. I know my father. He keeps a very good track of exactly how many birds we shoot, what species we shoot, and I would guess that off of the cuff, he'll be able to tell you how many species we harvested this year. Well, to answer the question, Jim, I honestly, so that there's like two separate kinds, right? So you have puddle ducks and diver ducks. And without going through a complete list, I think we shoot 13 different species usually every year in Wisconsin.
I wouldn't think a normal person would even realize that there's 13 species of ducks. I do actually know a little. I know that there's a difference between puddle ducks and I don't even know what you said, dive
Yep,
ducks. I
diver
know, I
ducks.
know sometimes. And like, what's the general difference when you think of those two, or for a person, um, you know, I assume, it's hunting in a field. You kind of see ducks everywhere. What are the kind of two distinctions?
Uh, okay, so diver ducks primarily are on big water. Like so in Wisconsin, Lake Michigan or the Bay of Green Bay or Lake Winnebago. Sometimes you can get some divers into marshes if the marsh is enough open water. So primarily the difference is the way they feed. Puddle ducks feed by dabbling. That's where everybody's seen the picture of the mallard with its butt in the air and its feet kicking and it's grabbing stuff off the bottom to eat. Divers literally dive underwater, and a lot of them, which makes hunting really, really good here in like the Green Bay area, Lake Michigan, is their divers are eating the zebra mussels. So, I mean, as bad as the zebra mussels are for um, beach goers, uh, our uh, our diving ducks that are out there are flourishing because of them. So it's actually helping us for that. So I would say
Irby,
the prep.
I know you.
Go,
I was gonna say, Irby, I know you've been out on the bay. Is it easy for an old man to get out there and lay partially covered in water in the icy waters of the bay or Lake Michigan?
Well, when we're in, Brian can get into this. Brian's kind of our lead guy in our group of 4 or 5 people that we bring out there. And there's actually a chase boat and 2 layout boats. So you're actually sitting in a layout boat. It's not the easiest to get in and out, but you do stay, I'm going to say, relatively dry. The layout boat is I would call it, Brian, and maybe you can nod or say yes, if it's an almost an unsinkable boat that you can go, but you're really laying on the level of the water. So you're kind of laying flat in the water. You'd certainly want to be wearing waterproof clothes because it does splash up and it is cold in a lot of times of this year. But it isn't the easiest thing to get out, but you also have 3 or 4 guys that are helping you get out of the chase boat and into the layout boat. So once you can get down, it is probably a young man's game if that's the only hunting that you do, or a mid-range. My age, Brian's age, your age, Dilly, wouldn't be an issue, if you will. You get into that 60, 70-year-old range, certainly guys are doing it, but it gets harder and harder to basically do a sit-up every time you want to kill a duck. So that's not an easy task.
Now, Brian, a little bit of a sidebar from duck hunting. Do you consider Eric to be an old man yet, or would you catalog him as a middle-aged guy? When you see him trying to do those sit-ups he's talking about out on the bay, does he look like an old man? And
well,
be
let's
honest.
just it all matters if it's rough or if it's calm. If it's rough, he is an old man. 80, 90. If it's calm, you could think he's a 20-year-old again, you know? But yeah, it all matters. It all matters. Um it it can get a little hairy when it is rough. But that's when the birds fly.
Yeah, that's a fact. Diver hunting, Brian. I want to kind of. I'm going to flip and flop, and I've got some questions about your organization that you run. Take them, but I want to start kind of with kind of stretching out of what got you into duck hunting and why you like it. You can't sit still. There's constant action. I agree with all that. Let's talk about the differences in your mind between what is puddle hunting and your property up in the northern zone, the property that you have in the southern zone, and then the differences between diver ducks and where you stand today on the 16th of February, 2026. What tickles your fancy?
Um, so to with what you started with is a little bit between where I am right now, right? Where I live, I have small. It's about 10 acres of flooded mm, cropland that I have that I can manipulate the water with water control structures, and it's kind of a lot of work. Like it literally is a lot of work. I try to get the water down. I'm kind of at the mercy of what the weather is, because it is a lot of the water that I get in is from runoff or rain itself. So if I'm trying to plant something in spring and it's just a super wet spring, it makes it difficult to get the water off. Now, if we get a dry fall, it's super hard to get water on. I did drill a well and I have a well, but it's not an irrigation well. It's like a municipal well, just a home well. So I can only pump so fast to get it in, and I don't have power out there, so it's a generator. I mean, it's work, right? Like it seems like every hobby that I get into, it just more work for me, which I don't know. I kind of like it, right? Like call me crazy, but I guess duck hunters are a little bit crazy. Um, and on the second part of your question is the southern zone, my southern property. It it is a WRP, so it is already the NRCS owns the rights to the property. I own the property, they own the rights. So anything that is to be done as far as like habitat, um, water control structures, any of that, they take care of it. So literally, when I go down there, there's nothing for me to do. Like I don't have to work. I have to work to get to where I want to hunt, and I hunt. And so far of what they've done, it's been spectacular. So I mean, it's a little different. You know what I mean? Like it's different. If it's different hunting, it's a lot of water down on my southern property. I don't have a lot of water here, and if we get a dry fall, it makes it tough. The birds don't want to hang out because there's not the sheet water on the Earth's surface. So it makes it tough. It also helps that where my southern property is, it's kind of in a trough of great habitat for duck hunting. So, I mean, to your end of your question was what gets me going, what makes me do it? I think honestly, I think it's the people I surround myself with, and like there's always that what are we going to get today? Right? There's the unknown. I do have cameras up to know if the ducks are in and stuff, but you never know, right? Like it's always the uncertainty of like, is today going to be the day where you're done in an hour and you go to breakfast? Or is today the day where you got to sit till 1 o'clock to scratch out 3 birds? You know, it's the unknown, but you can do it every day. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, for the layman's, and remember our viewers, Brian, just to kind of clue you in, Dilly obviously knows this. Most of our viewers, we get about 95% of our viewers are between the ages of 18 and 32, and they're mostly female. And then we jump way up to the 65 to 85-year-old females. So we have maybe one or two guys that sit in that, males that sit in that kind of the swing zone of what you would be looking at. So we want to kind of give everybody an idea of what duck hunting is. When you're going out, interesting season, right? Like when you start with the teal season, which is early in the year, then you finish it all the way to the last 60 days. You're kind of running through a number of different seasons, if you will. I mean, teal season's kind of summer, then you go into fall, and then you finish in winter. What's your go-to gear? What would you suggest for that person that wants to try it for the first time? What are you talking there?
That's kind of a tough one because I've gone through everything you can, from the biggest brands to the flat brim brands to the what works brands. You know what I mean? So I honestly layers, because it could be September 1st hunt. It could be 35 degrees when you start hunting, and it could be 70 by the time you're done. So, I mean, honestly, duck hunters are the biggest gear junkies there are. Hence, like, we have everything. So, layers, honestly, like, and hand warmers when it gets to the end.
Now there's a lot that goes into the day of, Brian, and you're the guy that kind of, and I don't know what you call yourself when we go hunting. I'll call you the boss, if you will. But talk to me about what you're going through in your mind when you start a hunt. What are you thinking of from the minute you get out of the truck, maybe even the night before? Talk to me about what goes through your veteran duck hunting mind, and then how you're feeling during the hunt. What are you looking at? What kind of changes? Talk to me about the mind work that goes into duck hunting.
Well, it all starts usually the night before, right? Like, I'm always checking direction, wind direction. Wind direction's huge because uh ducks always land into the wind. Always. They will land into the wind. So you want the wind at your back if at all possible. And sun is another thing. Like if it's going to be sunny out, you definitely don't want to be staring into the sun because the ducks with the sun at their back can see you better. So you want the sun at your back so they're staring into the sun and hopefully landing into the wind, right? Like so that's the perfect storm. Wind, and then what ducks are there, right? I've got a plethora of decoys. So if it's primarily teal, I'm probably going to run teal decoys. If it's primarily mallards, I'm going to run primarily mallard decoys. And it all goes off of what I remember from the last hunt, right? So if the birds were weary and I had 3 dozen decoys out, I might switch it up the next day and put 6 decoys out, right? Like just switch it up. Something they haven't seen. Whether I mean, there's these spinning wing decoys. I usually try to start the morning out putting spinning wing decoys out, and the first 3 birds I see flare off of them, I get mad at them and I throw them in the cattails. And I was like, let's not try it. And then an hour later, I'm putting them back out because the birds are doing the same thing. So, I mean, it's kind of it is a mind game. It is a 100% a mind game. Some days they just don't want to do it. And some days they will do it, meaning they will come into the hole and play and you get some good shooting, right? Like that's, so there is a lot of work, like where to hunt on the property, wind direction, what camo to wear. Like you talked earlier, what camo to wear. If the cattails are super green, you want to get in and match as good as you can, right? And I know like hunting with my dad makes it a little bit more difficult because he doesn't like to stand. He's 71 years old. He doesn't like to stand in knee deep, waist deep muck. So I got to get him in the boat, sitting in the boat somewhere where I can conceal him and the boat. So, I mean, we use skiffs, which makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I think about even before we get to putting decoys in the back of the truck to take a ride down, you know?
What kind of time frame is there? Like you mentioned, changing decoys. If you don't like what's out there to start or the birds aren't reacting well, what kind of time frame is it? Getting set up and switching a setup. Is it like I guess I'm always trying to compare it to deer hunting. Is it kind of like if you get up and walk around, you're kind of done for a half hour or an hour, or does it just matter what time the birds fly in, and it could be 5 minutes after you settle in, or is it like, well, if you go rearrange the decoys, you can kind of think you got an hour to do nothing?
Uh, to be honest with you, Jim, there's a lot of times you go out into the decoys, and it seems like every single time you go out into the decoys, the birds are trying to get into the decoys every time you're out there. So it's not like deer hunting. Like you can go out in the decoys and have to race back through knee deep muck and waist deep water to try to get hidden because there's ducks coming in. Like it's something that you can do. You can switch decoys around in a matter of however long it takes you to do. Let's say 5 minutes to switch decoys around or pull decoys out, and you could be shooting at ducks 5 minutes after that, or even 2 minutes after that. Or if you got buddies there, you just duck down in the decoys, and you know what I mean. Hope they don't get you.
Brian, there's a lot of things, if you look out there, there's a lot of things that duck hunters can spend money on, right? And you're obviously talking about decoys. There's a plethora of different decoys. Are they flocked? Are they not? Are they cheapos? Are they expensive? What the brand name is? Then there's moving decoys, and there's bubbler decoys, and there's flapping feet decoys. Are you kind of a mojo guy? Talk to us about all the gadgets and gizmos that they have for duck hunting.
I would like to call myself not very frugal. Let's just put it that way. I like to have the newest of the new and the best of the best. And you know what? Not every single time. Some of those never make it back out after I use them, right? That's just, like I said earlier, we're uh, gear junkies. So, I mean, I have plenty of spinning wing decoys, whether they be Mojo, Lucky Duck, Avian X. I mean, I have some of each, and I like some better than others in certain days. And but yeah, to start out, you don't need all that. You definitely don't need it all. But as you get hooked and it becomes more of a lifestyle than a hobby, then yeah, you end up with a garage full of gadgets.
When you're out there, Brian, and you've got the wind right, and you've got the sun on right where you want it, the temperature is good, there's ducks flying. How do you find the X? Kind of being that pit boss and kind of knowing that, are you either on the X or not, or what do you do during that hunt to try to find it?
Um, that that you hope so. So I'm just going to go off of the south property because it's a little bit harder to get on the X at the south property because it is 100 acres of water, right? Essentially 100 acres of water with cattail islands. That's what I'm hunting down there. When I hunt here, I have a 10-acre piece and I have water on maybe an acre of it. And I can shoot the whole acre because I've got a pit blind in the middle and I can shoot the whole acre. So either they're coming to that or they're not coming to that. So either your X is your X or you don't see anything, right? So my southern property, it a lot of times what we found this last year, what worked really good is wherever the birds are when you skiff out, those birds are going to want to come back. So if we have planned that we're going to hunt, I've got a lot of the islands named. So Limit Island, let's just say we're going to go to Limit Island. We're going to hunt the west side, right? We got a good northeast wind. Sun comes up in the east. It's going to be good. We're going to hunt Limit Island, east side facing, or the west side facing west, right? Everything looks good. All of a sudden, all the birds get up from the east side of Limit Island. And we just, all right, well, we don't want to face east. Let's face south. Let's get as close as we can to where we pushed them out. So that's what we do. You know what I mean? It could change all the plans that I have made on my ride down or the night before. Everything can change as we skiff out there. And then I think that's part of it. You have to be willing and able to adjust on the go. I think that's what makes duck hunting kind of fun, right? Because you're not going to that same deer blind that you've gone to for 50 years and hoping that bullwinkle walks out through your trail you've got cut, right? I mean, that's kind of it. Birds travel long ways, right? Deer, I wouldn't say that you're getting a deer from North Dakota that came in that's banded that all of a sudden you get, or Pennsylvania. I'm just thinking of a couple of the bands that we collected on the south property. So, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing.
Now, if let's say I'll try to paint a realistic picture. Let's say a guy, I don't know, had a brother, and let's say that guy's name is Rod, and let's say he's got a son. We'll call him, I don't know, Ryan, and he's like, like a seventh grader. He's been deer hunting and turkey hunting, and he's always bugging his dad to go hunting more. Um, and let's say the dad is, he knows some guys with land and different stuff, but I don't know if it's procrastinates or, a little sheepish to pull the trigger. Let's say that guy, fictional guy, Rod, were to text you and say, yeah, Jimmer told me to text you about duck hunting, so first time hunters that real novices, what kind of stuff after you considered it and said, oh yeah, come on out, what would you want guys, or I should have just said me, because I always flirt with the idea. Let's say I got a shotgun and I got some boots. What else does a guy bring, or a gal, of course, one of our 18 to 25-year-old aspiring model listeners, what would they bring to a first hunt at the, we'll call it the North Irby compound?
Uh, at the north, easily be able to get away with knee boots and a camo jacket, sweatshirt, and a gun. Easily. I've got this pit blind I have is a four-person pit blind. I can drive the side by side right up to the edge of the pit blind, hop out, get in the pit, and you're dry as dry can be. Now, a pit blind, to give you an idea of what a pit blind is, right? So it's a steel box buried in the ground, water buried down to water level being maybe a foot below the top of the box. And it's room enough to move around. You could make breakfast in said box. It's super comfortable. Like it's kind of like the Cadillac of hunting, if you're hunting out of a pit blind. So for that piece of property, easily knee boots, be able to get away with it. I wear waders because I've got to pick up decoys and everybody else. But if I'm going to take somebody else out, I tell them every time, you don't need to wear waders. Knee boots will get you what you need to get done.
And just a quick clarification, are you generally, let's say a guy is coming out, are you making breakfast for that guy? Maybe bacon, some eggs, maybe?
I am not a cook, but I know a guy who's 71 years old that absolutely loves to cook on the Blackstone that I got him in the blind.
So you got
It's
a
phenomenal.
Blackstone in the blind, so okay.
Yeah. It's
Now,
pretty good.
and if it's a September Sunday afternoon, you don't have a TV or anything out there. You're not watching the Packer game or anything. It's not
No.
that ridiculous, is it?
To be honest with you, it's a steel box and reception is very limited out there, which is kind of nice.
Brian, go ahead on what the requirements would be for the southern zone to give or your southern property to give the listeners an idea of the difference. So the first one is knee boots and a sweatshirt. What are you thinking for an October hunt in your southern property?
Well, I've got plans to make a blind. So I'm going to hopefully get this put together and out there before the ice goes out, because if I can paint you a picture of knee-deep muck, waist-deep water, and trying to build something and get something to go in there, I have to do it through the ice, right? Like that's the only option I have, is to build what I need to build on top of the ice, so I'm not in knee-deep mud. I'm on basically concrete to build it. So if that gets made, it would probably be the same things. We could take the boat right out to the blind, get out into the blind. That's my hope. Like for learn to hunts that we run, we don't have to have everybody in waders. Right now, without that being done, everybody has to have waders to get out there, because you are standing in knee-deep muck and waist-deep water. So, I mean, it does change the availability to get young hunters, new hunters to come out there. But my goal is to make it so that young and old, maybe not as willing of bodies, can enjoy what I love to do. And I mean, I love taking new hunters out. I would rather take new hunters out with me and show them the right way, rather than have them go out and struggle and struggle and struggle and then just get annoyed with the sport and not want to do the sport, right? Like if you teach somebody the right way, and I'm very fortunate that piece of property holds a lot of birds, which I'm very fortunate. It's a blast. You know what I mean?
Now, I got two questions off of that. One, you mentioned learn to hunt. So it sounds like you're involved in some learn to hunt activities, programs. Tell us a little bit more about learn to hunt. Is that through the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association, or is it something you just do on the side? How does that work?
It's through the It's through the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association. My dad developed this. Was the first how I'm I know I'm going to be wrong on how many years it is, but it's a lot. It's a lot of years. He
17 years, Brian.
17
Yep.
17 years of learn to hunt in Wisconsin. So we were the first learn to hunt in Wisconsin. Learn to hunt goose hunt in Wisconsin and duck hunt. So for 17 years, I've been a part of this learn to hunt, which is absolutely awesome. We've seen guys that came through as students. Now, when I say students, I'm not talking young. I'm just talking first time hunters, right? We had a dad and a son come through, and they just got hooked, and now they're helping our learn to hunt, and they're taking kids out and showing them. So it's gone full circle many of times, which is absolutely awesome to see. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do for the sport. So duck hunting is for me is more than just killing the bird, right? It's pass it on to the next generation, teach the next people the right way to do it and successfully do it. I guess that's
And
my 2 cents.
my follow-up question, and this might be a little bit more into the future. Let's say I'm going to paint another picture here. Let's say you got some guys, maybe they duck hunted a little bit. I'm going to assume they're, probably Illinois guys. Uh, and they, you want to make them feel like they know what they're doing because they think they know what they're doing. And perhaps they're willing to pay you a gratuitous amount of money to take them out onto the hunting property down south, as a guide. Um, is that something you see in your future? Is there think you might be interested, or out on the bay? Any spot that's a little bit harder to get to. Would you ever consider, as opposed to helping first time hunters and youth guys? What about rich jerks, possibly jerks from Illinois, Bears fans with gratuitous amounts of money to pay you for 4 or 5 hours?
I mean, it's on my radar, right? I'm building the things that need to be built to become that jerk wrangler, I guess. um I with what I have right now, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, you have to be very careful on one piece of property, burning it out. If you get too many people and you kill thousands of birds off of one piece of property, you're going to burn it. You're going to burn it out. The birds are going to eventually decide we're not going there anymore, right? Like, so you have to be real careful with that. So you would almost need to have secondary pieces of property, and have other cards in the deck before you just go and jump in, and maybe a place to house said people. And it's all but yes, to answer your question, eventually at some point in time in my life, I would absolutely love to, whether it be on my own property or going south somewhere and guiding for somebody, maybe not guiding for myself, but I would love it.
Brian, speaking of kind of making a little bit of side hustle here or looking at building businesses, you've got a successful business that you've got rolling here called Take 'em. I want to give you a minute, kind of talk about what that is, how it became what it is, and where you see that taking yourself.
All right. So I am a construction man by trade. So that's what I do in my day to day, right? I build houses, frame houses to be exact. So that pays for me to be able to have fun. And we were hunting to get to the whole Take 'em story, how it came about. We were, as you guys probably don't know, but my dad worked for the DNR for his entire life. So we follow the rules, right? Like, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but we follow the rules. I was brought up following the rules, and that's what I do now is I follow the rules, which I think every hunter should do is follow the rules. That's why the rules are there. But he had come forward with me to me maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and he said, "Hey, the federal game wardens are coming down on just making piles of birds when we hunt on the Bay of Green Bay." And to give you just a little bit without getting too far in this, you have two guys in the layout boat and they're shooting birds. They can't get out of the layout boat to get their birds. So you pick them up with the chase boat and you throw them in the chase boat. They're not your birds because you didn't shoot them, but you're picking up their birds and you're putting them in your possession in the chase boat. So technically, you need to have a strap or something that can depict that this is their bird, right? This is my bird. This is Eric's bird. This is Jim's bird. So after Dad tells me this, I made some paracord duck straps, right? And they worked awesome. It did everything I needed it to do until November 27th hit, hunting Thanksgiving Day. And it's snowing out and it's a high of 30 degrees. These straps that I made, that I put together, were sitting in the bottom of the boat and frozen. Couldn't get the knot to loosen up to get it around the neck or the head. Couldn't get it to happen. I'm like, all right, we need to come up with something else. Now I had a bunch of Texas rigs at my house, which are Texas rigs are decoy rigs. For those of you that don't know, and there's an anchor on the bottom and it hooks to the decoy on top and it's braided cable. So it's braided cable coated with PVC coating. And I was like, man, those things never freeze. I've had them out in ice and they never freeze. Let me just play around. So I started playing around with it and I came up with this idea of, hey, I think this is going to work. Showed it to a couple of the guys that I hunt with, family. And I was like, well, what do you think? I don't know. So we go down to Missouri every single year hunting with the same guide. And I had a bunch of just prototypes made up. And I brought him down there and he immediately bought every one of them I had. And he goes, I'll try them all out for you. And still to this day, that was 4 years ago, before the business even started, before I even got into anything. And still to this day, he buys straps from me to give to his clients, sell to his clients and everything. And that's really where it came from. It was out of necessity. And it's a product that works. And that's really what I want to stand behind. And that's what I want to do is I want to give a duck hunter a product that works, because there's too many products out there that don't work. Right. And I'll stand behind, and I do stand behind every piece that we build. So, I mean, that's what gets me going. If I can help a duck hunter have a product that works, that's why I'm here. And that's what I'm building my business off of.
And that'd be especially useful for, like you said, like when there's a chase boat or there's groups of hunters and you're shooting a bunch of birds and you got to keep track of. Does it help you keep track of species too, or does it keep the total count for each guy, that kind of thing?
Yes, well, there species, yes, because there is a species limit on certain birds, as well as your daily bag limit. So in Wisconsin, we can shoot 4 mallards, 2 which can be hens, or you can shoot 4 drakes, right? So your total is 4. So if you have on your strap, let's say I shot 4 mallards and a group of mallards come in, I can't shoot, right? Because my strap has 4 mallards on it. So it definitely helps 100%. Like being able to count open loops. Like a lot of times we shoot limits of birds and I holler down like, hey, what's everybody at? Where are you guys at? How many open loops do you have on your strap? Because the straps have 6 loops. So they're made that way. They're made to have a limit of birds on them.
Brian,
So
I think that
yeah,
brings up an interesting That brings up an interesting question too. I'd like to the listeners, and I know we're getting tight on time here, so but I've got a few more. Dilly, I'm sure you've got a few more. Is there a certain etiquette when you're in the blind that folks that you're bringing out kind of need to understand outside of safe shooting? Is there another etiquette? Is there duck hunting etiquette?
Um, I think like outside of safety, I mean, duck hunting etiquette, I would say if I'm on the left side of the blind and all the birds are working the left side of I call it the blind, but I would say yeah, the blind. If I'm on the left side of the blind and all the birds are working the left side, I will 100% be like, "Hey, somebody want to come down here and get their fair share of what's happening, especially if they're new or they haven't been to the property or um just trying to spread the wealth, really. I mean, I have dogs. Obviously, dogs are a big part of duck hunting. Not to get into a whole nother realm, but I really like just watching the dog work. So if I can shoot my 6 birds, and or even not, if I shoot 3 birds and the rest of my group can shoot 6 birds apiece, and my dog gets 27 retrieves or 30 retrieves out of the day, it's a great day, right? Dog's sleeping before we get to the truck.
You already making plans for next duck season? I think you just returned here late middle of January on your last hunt of ducks. Are you already dreaming of the first teal hunt of next year and laying plans for your next season?
Yes, 100%. I have actually one more hunt that I need to go on yet this year. I'm gonna go chase some snow geese in early March, just because one of the guys that I hunt with all the time, he got a free pass from his better half. And he said, "Hey, we need to go snow goose hunting." And I'm like, "Let's go snow goose hunting." So we're going to be heading to South Dakota in early March. So we're going
You
to
know,
do
that's
that.
an
But we
you know,
have,
I
go ahead.
go ahead, Bry. Go ahead.
But I have other plans on the south property. I am putting up a building down there to better suit my needs. So that's an exciting thing.
I was almost going to have to stop you there when you started talking about your buddy that's a duck hunter and he got a free pass from his wife. We are a G-rated podcast here, so thank goodness the free pass was to go snow goose hunting, because I take that a little different in my personal life when I get a free pass. I don't know about you, Dilly.
I mean, some people might even take snow goose, as a little coded language for some hot babes up north or something. Just be careful here. Like we said, we got diversified listening. Um, and we can get Irby, if you have any duck hunting questions, a serious sidebar, again, a sidebar question. Herbs, and that being Brian Herbs, have you ever, well, are you at all a golfer? And have you ever reflected on what your life or garage would look like if you became a golfer? Because that's uh another gear heavy sport, and you'd probably have to have a expensive luxurious simulator in your garage or on the property somewhere. Have you considered becoming an absolute golfaholic at any point?
Absolutely not.
Whoa!
I
Leave it for the fat out of shape guys, huh? Okay.
if I do go golfing, I go golfing once a year, and it is to the one outing which supports ducks. Imagine that. Um, and I like driving. That's about it. Like, not driving the cart, driving the ball. Like, hitting the ball as hard as I can, swinging it as hard as I can, and then the rest of it, I like. It's I have fun doing it, but no, I don't. I mean, I've got a pretty addictive personality, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Big Herbs, how do those drives look? I assuming you've golfed with them in that group. And I think maybe it's a little bit of a psychological thing I'm doing here. I'm trying to make myself, I don't know if I'm making myself feel better, but I just want to make sure Brian's not one of those guys that, works 500 hours a week, duck hunts 5,000 hours a year. And then the one time he golfs a year, does he drive it 295 down the middle and he could shoot a 75 just out of whack? I know a guy or two like that.
I have golfed with Brian. I believe we've golfed for the last 6-7 years together in this certain outing, and I won't say that he's consistently hitting it 275, but there are definitely times where his ball is sitting right next to mine in the short grass, and he kind of laughs at me and is like, "You spend all this time doing this? This is super easy." But there are parts of his game that lack because he takes his 60-degree wedge from about 160 and said, "I can get it there," and he's 110%. Brings up a lot of turf. It goes not so far, and sometimes it goes really far because he blades it and it goes really far. So it's more of a hoot. But it is kind of fun to watch when he does connect because he does not get cheated on any one of his swings on a golf course.
And the other kind of sidebar question, many listeners will have at least some familiarity or have heard of this. There's a legend of a guy, we'll just say it was the year 2020. And we'll just say this guy decided to build a structure and slap in a very nice basketball court on his property. And that even the local high school team used it to practice. A, is that true? And B, is that court still get some use?
Very true. 100% true. I do have a full half court basketball court at my house, and it does get a lot of use. I actually have, I've got a cousin that is looking to play overseas that spent just about every day here over the summer working out in the gym. And I have another fellow that went to Pulaski, moved from Pulaski to Bayport, and is now at a junior college in Milwaukee. And they are in the top 5 in the nation right now. And he's shooting 40% from 3 last time I talked to him. So makes me feel good. The door's always open. Guys are always working out in there. It makes me feel good that I can help out the youth in that enjoy playing basketball. Yeah, so I did. I mean, COVID shut everything down, and it wasn't shutting building down. So we built a gym when COVID came crashing down on all of us, and couldn't keep us. I mean, we practice in masks though, just to be safe.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, thank goodness. Thanks for saying safe. And as far as coaching up defense, you made them stay 6 feet apart. Also,
Yes.
when they're
Yep.
playing defense in the post,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
you gotta give them
Yeah.
6 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you still mess around and get a triple double if some young cat wants you to play some one-on-one or anything? Or let's say, could you take Eric this tomorrow afternoon? Could you take him one-on-one?
It's been a hot minute since I've played my son, who is in high school now, playing. But I could see myself playing against Big E, like I could see myself taking him to the rack.
We'll just keep that on the side. There's no reason to get in any debates here on who's better or who's not. But let me just finish it with this. He was always a better athlete than I was, Dilly.
You've mentioned it many times. Brian, are you a big fan of the Audible Angle program? Are you listen to every episode? Have you heard Big E talk about how Big B was better than you? I'm sorry, vice versa, that you were always the superior athlete, and did he let you know that growing up as a kid? Was he always so
No,
congenial and letting you know you were better than him athletically?
I haven't caught every episode. I have listened and joined in with a few episodes. And no, I haven't heard that. That's I'll have to watch back. Maybe when we're done here, you can give me an idea of if it was episode 3 or episode 7 that he actually came out and said that I was better. I mean, everybody knew it. It's just him saying it is. I'm definitely gonna watch probably when we get done here every episode to find it.
You remember Eric and Lee Hansen, I'm sure, from the old school days. I believe Lee Hansen had at one point like a 784 and 0 wrestling record against his little brother Eric, and he'd sometimes, even like when we were in like 5th or 6th grade, he'd just run up to his brother, pin him, and then go 111 and 0, just celebrate the victory. Would you say that the Big E is the Big E, Eric Urban, not Eric Hansen? Eric Urban is lucky he didn't work you over too much when you were younger, because you'd be paying him back all these years now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the days of playing football in the backyard was enough for me. It was always Eric and Jim against Rod and Brian, and somehow Brian always was the one that was on the bottom of the pile. I don't know why, but hey, you know, I guess for us fit guys, we're supposed to be faster. It's on me. You know what I mean? I don't blame anybody but myself. I should have been faster or
I will
older.
say, and then, we never like to, actually we do, because we always take shots at Druzy, but I will say, I think the official football game of me and Eric against you and my brother, um, it's still inconclusive, because I think every game we didn't ever have a final score. We just played until, and I'll just say it out loud, until you got either hurt or upset enough to run home yelling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Uh,
technically that game is still going. It's still on.
right. Yeah. We'll have to see if we can get Merrimack Way, see if there's still a backyard left there and maybe
Yeah.
tear up some grass.
Yeah, I think we'd have to shrink the field down, make it about, and I'm going to say 10 yards wide, maybe. That could be a little, maybe 5 yards wide, and keep it in that confined area. Maybe we could get a decent game in.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, I appreciate you coming on the show today. Where can people find this Take-'em gear that is flying off shelves and can't stay in stock, that's handmade in Pulaski, Wisconsin?
We have a website, takeemgear.com. We're on all social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the TikTok. We are we're pushing the socials pretty hard. We just released a new white strap. If you're a follower of Take 'em, but yeah, you or reach out via email. I mean, either way, which is takeemgear@gmail.com. So yeah,
Shameless plug. We appreciate Take-'em being our official sponsor for this episode today. Little heat there from Bruce Urban. He decided to get out of the kitchen. We'll try to wrap him up in another episode here. Appreciate you taking the time tonight, Brian.
absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Brian. Yep. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.